be restocking some of my summer collection before that starts phasing out and I start prepping for fall. If you watched my last video, then you know I ordered my first ever custom fabric. So I sent my illustration in and had it printed on fabric. And then in my last video, I sewed a bunch of different products with that fabric. And that was just so exciting. So for fall, I am hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be launching my very first collection of all of my own fabrics. I already have a bunch of designs illustrated. Last week, I was just going crazy, illustrating like every day, trying to come up with fabric designs, and I have them all uploaded on Spoonflower. So once Spoonflower drops a yard sale, I can order a yard of each design, see how it looks, and then hopefully order a bunch to launch my first collection with all of those. So super excited. I did order some like fat quarter samples from Spoonflower to test out, because in my last video I mentioned how I was wanting to test out a few other manufacturers, see their print quality, fabric quality, all of that. Here is one of the designs I sent in. Really cute with some geese and strawberries. But as you can tell, the print is huge. I did not realize with Spoonflower that I needed to scale down. I didn't do that with Fabric on Demand, so I wasn't even thinking about it. And the image turned out ginormous. So here's the strawberry one. But I can say I really like the print quality and the fabric feels really nice as well. I printed these on their Petal Signature Cotton, so very soft, and like I said, I feel like the print looks really nice, especially compared to the other manufacturer I used. Hopefully I'll be launching my first ever fall collection with my own fabrics in September, which will work out nicely since the first day of fall is in September. So fingers crossed that I'll be doing that. Very excited. A lot of you are really looking forward to me actually selling fabric, which will hopefully be the next step. I want to, like I said, launch my first collection with my own first, and then start planning potentially launching my own fabric. So I'm very excited for this and my next step in my sewing journey. I also sent in a couple gingham prints. For the designs I already have uploaded on there and just ready to send in, I scaled down to like 50 to 60%, and we'll see how that works. That's one reason why I want to wait for a sale, order a yard, and then just see like the scaling and just how that looks before I fully commit. But I want to show you one more thing before we get started. I had mentioned this was something that I was wanting to do, but I framed one of my star blocks. So this is actually the one I turned into a pot holder. I think I did this in 2 videos back, and I ended up not using it as a pot holder and framed it instead. I just didn't want to ruin it, and it looks so pretty. I still need to add the edges to my first ever star block. So once I do that, I do have another frame I could put that one in, but I thought it was just a really nice way to kind of showcase my first star blocks. This is actually the second one I made that ended up being too big for my quilt, so I put it to the side and then turned it into a pot holder, and now it is wall decor. But yeah, I think that's just a really fun way to kind of, like I said, showcase your sewing, especially some of your first projects. So let's go ahead and move over to my fabric area where I have all my book sleeves and different products and see what I need to restock. Okay, so here are all of my book sleeves. It looks like I have a ton of small. For the pencil cases, I have a Petal and Purr, a Forest Friends, Mayflowers, and Lavender Picnic. I need to restock on my Strawberry Sunset, Ladybug, and Butterfly Bloom. So we'll make those 3 plus all of the book sleeves. So what I'm going to do with the Ladybug one, because I also need to restock a small and a large book sleeve, I'm going to cut the fabric for those and the pencil case. And then we can kind of see how much of this fabric I have left, since I'm not going to be restocking any of these. So basically this is it for this design. Okay, let's just go ahead and cut the large book sleeve one out of this first, and then I think I can also get a small out of the same piece. I just want to thank all of you for the kind words on that video last week. So many of you really love the strawberry design, which is very exciting since that's my very first one. That's kind of like my signature illustration. I have that on packing materials. It was one of the very first bookmarks I launched, one of the very first patterns I ever illustrated. So I'll probably launch that with everything else. And like I said, that'll be like my signature print. I always get comments about sharing measurement, sharing the process, and I do often share my measurements and like obviously the entire process since I show you all here, but I like to give credit to the original person that I watched and how I learn. So I will have her YouTube tutorial linked down below. So definitely go check that out if you want to learn how to sew book sleeves. She also shows you how to do the ones with the bows, which are very cute. So highly recommend checking out her tutorial. Super easy to follow. Okay, that worked out perfectly. So I have all the fabric, all the outer pieces cut for the large book sleeve, small book sleeve, and pencil case. So let's go ahead and break out the inner fabric. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to cutting all of the fabric, so everything I need. So we'll do like a little quick speed up of this process here. Then we'll get to sewing. Fabric is all cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my interfacing, and then I'll break out the iron all the pieces, and get to sewing. I just use a medium weight interfacing for my pencil cases. I don't like using anything too thick because whenever you close up the boxed corners, if it's really thick, then it's hard to keep it all together and you really gotta wrestle with it. So we're doing 3 pencil cases, my Strawberry Sunset, Butterfly Bloom, and Ladybug. So I got that cut. I actually just got an order and Haley got the little Ladybug book sleeve. So good thing we're making one since I didn't have any in stock. So perfect timing. So thank you, Haley, for your order. My theory was pretty on point on like which fabrics would be the most popular for this collection. So like Butterfly Bloom, the Ladybug. Time to quilt all of my pencil cases. So I'm gonna take this little quilting bar that came with my machine. I really recommend getting one of these if you do not have one. And if your machine has a little hole here above the presser foot where you insert it, I love this, works great. And create a center crease. So that's where I'll start the quilting and make sure all the lines are nice and even. So you can see here. So that's where I will start quilting. Quilting is done. Time to add my logo to one side. And another thing that's really nice about having that center line is when I'm lining up my logo, I can use that as kind of my guide. And then I'll also take a small ruler just to make sure it is exactly where I want it. And I go down about 3 centimeters. And I love these because they have that laminate backing. I can iron them on and they'll stay in place until I sew them. So for my zipper, I cut it a little bit longer than my pencil case to start. And that also just helps make it a little bit easier to put the zipper pull on once we have it all sewn together. Plus, if I did have any shifting, it wouldn't end up being too short because I do have the little bit extra on the ends. I did also order one of those little zipper pull helpers. I initially bought this because I had fake nails in my last video, and when I was making my pencil case, they were driving me crazy. I found it very difficult to put a zipper pull on with fake nails, and I actually ripped them all off like 2 days later. I remember before I started sewing with zippers, I kind of found them a little bit intimidating. I was a little bit worried to start sewing with zippers, but honestly, I find these ones really easy. It's the wallets where actually the flat pouches I find more difficult than the boxed ones. But let's knock out these pencil cases. That way I can start working on the book sleeves and hopefully get everything done by 5 o'clock. That way I can settle in for the rest of the evening. So once I have my zipper sewn on, I'm going to flatten all of this out and then take it back to my sewing machine and do a top stitch right along here. And that's gonna help keep the lining in place so that way it doesn't get caught in the zipper whenever you're using it. And then I'll do the exact same thing to put on the other pieces, then I'll box it out and the pencil cases will be done. Then we can move on to the book sleeves. Got that done and trimmed the sides. So I trimmed that extra part of zipper off and then just made the edges even. Okay, maybe user error, but I'm not finding this any easier. I have to figure this out a little bit more. I just feel like it would be a little bit better with the zipper facing up instead of having to go upside down. Just do a little stitch on the zipper pulls to keep them in place. Okay, now that I have that, what I do is fold the 2 outer pieces, front sides facing. Okay, then we flip it. Line up the 2 inner fabrics, except with this, I'm gonna leave an opening in the middle. That way at the very end, we can use that to turn everything right side out. Then what I do is just sew along here, sewing all of those pieces together, and then I'll be ready to actually box out the corners. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my square ruler, and I really want to get one of those heat erasable pens instead of using my chalk. This is just kind of messy, to be honest, and they constantly are breaking, so I need to order one of those pens. And I do about 3/4 of an inch. Of course, you could do like a full inch or 1/2 inch, this really just determines how boxed your bag is going to be. So there's that. And now this is the hardest part of the entire project, is lining up all of the box corners. So I take my outer fabric, line that up to the seam, and then go ahead and clip that together, because then we're going to turn it and align the inside fabric flush with that. So once we start sewing these, it's going to look like a giant fabric ball and kind of crazy. And you may be thinking, how in the world is it going to turn into a pencil case? But this is one of those projects where you trust the process. It will come together in the end. Okay, now you can kind of see what I mean by like a big fabric mess. Like, it does not look like this could turn into a pencil case. So let's go ahead and flip it out. Oh, cute. And I just love doing it that way, because then you don't have any raw seams on the outside or the inside besides the hole that we just turned everything right side out. So that's the only thing that you have to sew. I got those pencil cases done. I'm gonna hold off on the ladybug one and go ahead and jump into sewing some book sleeves. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. I did not want to miss another week of posting because it's actually Monday. I'm remote from my 9 to 5 on Monday, so I just take calls from home. So I'm sewing, filming, editing everything today, and then hopefully we'll get this video posted tomorrow. You all remember when I would completely take this out and then put it back in instead of just raising my presser foot and turning it? I cannot believe I did that for so long, because this has saved me a lot of time. Before we continue with the book sleeve, let me show you a little sneak peek of some of the fabric designs that I've illustrated so far. I have fall frogs. So this was actually one of the very first fall illustrations that I did as a sticker when I first launched my shop. So I turned him into a little pattern, and I just think he's so cute. I love frogs. Okay, next one is fall butterflies. Even though there are butterflies, but I made the butterflies kind of fall leaf colors. So I love that. Then I did a moth one, but this one is giving a little more spring, but it is in fall colors. So I think that one's really cute. Then I illustrated a couple different inner fabrics. So we have just an orange gingham, which that one I'd probably use with the pumpkin frog. Then I also did little mini pumpkins. I was thinking this one with the butterflies because it also has a bunch of little pumpkins, so I figured that would match and be pretty cute. Here's one I illustrated to go with the geese fabric. But those are 3 of the fall designs that I have potentially planned for my first collection, plus some of the inner fabrics. Probably what I'll do is illustrate, maybe do like 5 total and go from there. But I think I do want to do some Halloween ones as well, and not all just kind of like fall designs, but yeah, throw in some Halloween ones. So we'll see. I'll probably do a lot of illustrating at work this week since it is going to be low 100s. So I'm going to try and avoid the outside as much as possible. Let me know if you like any of those, or if you have ideas that you would like to see. Let's finish up these book sleeves. I'm going to sew on my labels and then finish the pockets and trim the batting. hope you enjoyed watching me sew a few things for my summer collection, and also a sneak peek of my upcoming, hopefully, fall collection of all of my own illustrations, which I'm so excited for. I didn't restock near as many products as I was hoping. I guess I kind of underestimate how long it takes me to actually sew each product. I guess I'm kind of a slow sewer, but I also get distracted very easily. So yeah, at least I got a few things done, and most importantly, I sewed one of the orders I got today, so that's already done. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.